You know, Si, one thing I admire about the lads that we've met and the you know the group that we've built and everything else is what people can do. You know, you got people like G Force, you got people like Hoppy. You know what I mean? Scuba Pete doing his room, even Zoe doing it. I love creativity, and so a couple of years back, Keith put a picture up on Facebook years ago, and it was all his Playmobil stuff, and I was like, "What the France?" And I'm like, "Oh, how have you made this and how have you done this?" And year after year and month after month, you put stuff out, and I just thought this has to be shown. And I know we've shown little pieces on ZSR, and me and Si have talked about it, whatever. But I just think your work is incredible. You know what I mean? Do you feel the same way, Si? You're a firm admirer of people that can take something and make it into something
I
else.
have. I buy Lego, and I've bought Lego for years, and it's something that me and Claire both get together. So it's good to buy Lego because it's something we both look for. But
Yeah,
then I go to these brick festivals and stuff, and I look at some of these videos on YouTube, and some of the stuff what people can do with Lego, it's just incredible, isn't it? Do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And I think the same goes with the same sort of Playmobil way, that the stuff that you can do, dioramas they can make, setups, it's
yeah.
amazing what they do.
So yeah, I'm glad you've come on, Keith, to share this with everybody, and I've got loads of pictures to show of what Keith does. But let me first ask you, Keith, because when we were growing up, whether Si will tell me something different, not because I know my memory is nowhere near like sizes. We never had Playmobil ever, and I remember we had two cousins that lived in Lytham, and we gone to their house one weekend, and they had their Playmobil hospital set. Do you remember, Si, all that
I
hospital
do, yeah.
stuff?
Tara and
And
Shauna were the ones that had the Playmobil.
yeah, they did, and I was
Yeah,
blown away by it. I was blown away because I love little intricacies and stuff like accessories, and so I
yeah.
saw this thing and it had the hospital bed and and all that sort of stuff, and I'd forgot all about it. And a few years back, I was because Playmobil for some reason, boys, it's not a big thing over here. You've got to go to certain places like Barnes and Noble, which is more of a bookshop for Playmobil, but Walmart never has it. Target never has it. Sometimes you'll see like a sales ship or something in Ross, which is a clearance store. Well, for some reason, a few years back, I'd gone into Walmart and they had the Back to the Future one for $25, which was a $50 set.
Mm.
And it was the time when I was making the video. So I thought, I'll buy this and see what it's like. What the France, it just kicked off from there. I've never bought any. I would have paid the $50 for it. So I'm relatively
Yeah.
new, and I went out, and then obviously I went out and bought every pop culture one they had, from the Magnum to the thing that. But Keith, let me ask you, mate, how did you get into Playmobil?
I had as you know, my main collection has been police memorabilia,
Yes, it has. Yeah.
and obviously police toys. Like, so I've got lots of the die-cast metal police cars and stuff like that. Well, um, I had a couple of the old 1974 Jobra Playmobil figures with the old Bobby's helmets on. Very, very basic, very basic figures. I mean, the early 1974, they was just all the arms and the legs were just all one cut. The whole body was just one color. It was just a head that was like a different color.
Yeah.
And I had a couple of them in my collection. I don't think I've ever made a big deal out of it. They were just in the cabinet with everything else. Well, about 4 Christmases ago, I opened up my prezzies as you do, and I had a Playmobil police van with the lights and siren. And it was a present from Kat, and it was a joke present. She admits it. It was a joke present.
Right.
Now I'm quite OCD, quite anal. I like it. I liked it because it's a toy and it makes noises and it's got lights that flash.
Yeah.
And what boy can't resist? What little boy can't resist flashing lights? So, but I said to her, it's nondescript. It's too nondescript because it just looks all the Playmobil European police stuff looks very, very German. It looks like it's a German company. The lettering on it said police in English because they also sell it in France, and the word police in France is spelt the same. But it looked too ordinary. So I pimped it up, and the crazy thing is, I was going to bring it down and show you, but I've left it in the shed, and I can't believe now that I didn't pick it up and bring it down. But what I did was I pimped it up and I turned it into a Metropolitan Police riot van, and I built the grille for the front windscreen and all that, and then obviously I had to get the figures. It came with 2 figures. Well, the figures again very nondescript uniforms, so I pimped them up into British uniforms with a checkered band round the cap and painted up the uniforms. And then from there, it just sort of spiraled because then I needed the rest of the crew to go in the back of the riot van. So I bought a couple of plates. And then for another, I think it was my birthday, the following birthday, she bought me a police car. Again, I turned it into a Met Police response car. And then we were talking about in one of the other toy communities on an Instagram chat about 3 years ago, and we were talking about Playmobil and stuff like that. Well, Jody Spoor from Holland, the Netherlands.
I know Jody, yeah, I know he is.
Yeah, lovely guy, Jody. He just sent me. He said to me, "Give us your address." And the next thing, I've got this Playmobil Ghostbusters Ecto-1 turned up in the post, along with a Back to the Future advent calendar set.
Yeah.
I was blown away, especially by the Ecto-1, because I mean that is a fantastic toy. I mean, you've got one yourself, Shabby. They are.
Yeah, I got both. They did the Ghostbusters 2 one too, which is, and it's like I say, it's the lights and the. Si, did you never want to get? First of all, Si, did you write this? I like kebabs.
Yeah.
Right, thanks.
Because I do.
It scared me, Si, because I didn't realise you could do that for me. So I was like, oh no, I've been hacked. So cheers for that, Si. I know you're a big Lego fan, Si, and I think there's Keith. I think DTM likes a bit of Playmobil. But I know Des T and his family, Zoe, they're a big fan. But did you ever think, Si, when you saw what Keith's got and what we've got with the pop culture, I need to get into this? Because I know you've bought a couple of them.
That's the thing. I did do. Like everybody else, I bought all the Back to the Future, bought the 18 van. What else did I get? Got the Starship Enterprise. Like the rest of you, when I saw how like the pop culture side of it, the Ghostbusters, all them. Will I carry on buying Playmobil? No, because I'm a Lego fan. My money goes to Lego. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
But I couldn't resist them. How good were they when they saw the Ferrari and they saw the Knight Rider car? And, blokes our age, we grew up with all that. We're just going to go, that was, I mean, whoever got that franchise for him, whoever thought of that idea, it must have done, because like I said, people like me who don't even look at Playmobil were snapping all these sets up. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
I think you do decorate. I mean, they are the two biggest rivals of what they sort of do with each other. You look at a Lego pack, it's this many pieces. You'll look at a Playmobil pack, it's this many pieces. Do you know what I mean? So I think they're both, in a sense, value for money and for creativity. Do you know what I mean? What you can do with both of them is probably still the best toy to play with, in the sense of. But I just think, now that Keith's just explained about the police, about why he bought it for that side, I can understand why you're more Playmobil than you are Lego. Because obviously, from the beginning, there's a lot of nostalgia there with it. There's a lot of, like, it played on your heartbeat. So
that's a great point. Where did the creativity part of it come from, though, Keith? Because that's why I wanted you on, mate, to tell you the truth, because some of the stuff, which I've got loads of pictures tonight, chat, by the way. So, and some of the stuff, if you've not seen Keith's stuff, I'm not going to start blowing smoke. When you see it yourself, but when did you start doing that? When you picked up a piece of a Playmobil, our Keith, and went, you know what, I can make something out of this. What dawned that?
I've been doing customs, if you like, and model making for years. I mean, I used to build all the Airfix kits and all that as a kid. So I started when I was probably about 7 or 8 with my dad, building the Airfix battleships and stuff like that.
Right.
And I used to paint them all up. Once I got a bit older and got a bit better at building the kits, I used to paint them all up and then put all the battle camouflage on them and everything else. And I had loads of them, loads and loads of these Airfix models and Humbrol models, Monogram, Tamiya, all the different makes, Matchbox, model kits. I've always been a bit. I've always liked taking things apart, and then the problem is trying to remember how to put it all back together again. So I'm great at dismantling things. It's putting them back together. That's the challenge.
I do it with ladies' hearts.
Give me a yeah.
Of course he does, doesn't he? Of course he does.
Sorry.
No, the Playmobil. I've been doing customers and customizing stuff long before I started doing the Playmobil. So the Playmobil, to be honest, was just a bigger scale version what I'd already been doing. Because I used to do it with a lot with the 43 scale die cast. So I've got a load of those that are and conversions in the die cast circles. They're known as code 3 model when you take an existing model and change it or adapt it. Have we lost Shabby?
No, we're here. You're here. You're just doing it a bit, but you're still here.
Frozen, am I?
No, you're
it's
right,
just lagging a tiny bit, but you're all right. You're still
here.
here.
No, you're fine. You're back. Yeah, you're back. Yeah, it's just glitched a bit. That's all. Des T asks,
that's all it is.
Yeah, don't worry about stuff like that. Des T says, "Is there a fire at Keith's house? All those firemen behind him." Yeah, hey, Gilster.
Well, that's actually that leads me perfectly into, because if I just pull that back a bit, I don't know if you can see that properly. All those, they are action men. They are all vintage action men.
Yeah,
they are all, and you can just about see them. But the one, that one there is. Both those fire engines are completely hand built by myself. They're in Action Man scale, and the only part of them that was an original toy was the very front cab part, and that come from the Action Man. Oh, sorry, the Shirley army truck that they did. And what I did was just nick the wheels, nick the cab, and then the rest of it, the whole rest of that fire engine is built around that cab. I built the ladder myself and put the big wheel on the back. The turntable ladder is the one next to it, and of course the Dennis pump caters for 4 action men, and the turntable ladder caters for 2. And then I've got the Cindy Range Rover that I did as a fire truck as well. So I've got 8 firefighter figures, and of course
we're definitely going to do that. I think what we're going to do as well, if we do well here, which I know we're going to do all your action men as well, because you've customized just as much as that as you have with Playmobil, haven't you? So we'll definitely do that. Kieran Bull says, "Oh no, I thought this was called Keith's Playboys." No, that's tonight. That's an after hours show, that one. Georgie says, "Whoa, hello fellas and all the time." Georgie, got a massive turnout, so this is awesome. Thank you all so much. Reynolds is here. Good old Martin's turned up. Q, everybody else is here. Let me just get down here a bit.
Hi, Martin.
Boy, didn't that joke backfire? Oh, brilliant. It was meant to be a joke and he turned it into this. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
TJC, Q, wow, APC, everyone's there. Monkey Boys here, Bikers here. Wow, what a great turnout for our Keith. This is brilliant. James Bond's Aston Martin. Yeah, that was one of the things that they did.
Brilliant.
I think that was the first one I got. I think that was the one that pulled me in first, Aston Martin.
Yeah,
it was a great thing.
I got them all, and this is Keith, so I didn't want to show it tonight. But the Asterix is the one that was hard for me to get, and Scuba got me one, and good old Des sent me one, and I'd love to finish that if they ever made it over here. But that was one of the most upsetting things for me, Keith inside, because Thousand Skulls had written to me, said, "Shabby, they're doing Asterix Playmobil," and I'm like, "What the front?" So I go on it, I couldn't find it. So I go on the Playmobil USA site, and I'm looking. I'm like, "Where's the Asterix stuff?" So I wrote back to him and he said, "No, Shabby, I'm doing it over here." I said, "Oh, you joke."
I can understand your love for it, because I loved Asterix growing up. It's one of the inspirations that made me an artist. Yeah. And I actually won some Asterix stuff. I've been buying some stuff in, and I won some, which I was going to send to you, but then I decided I'm going to keep it. So unlucky.
you just watched this fella, Si, on My Collecting Life, haven't you, Retro?
Yeah, you know what? Funny enough, I've been catching up with a few of his videos. They're good videos. Been liking him. I saw him in Nerd Base, and I watched him on Stu's the other night, which takes me back to yours, Keith, because I saw Stu the other night, and I think it was on Retro Bunga's My Collecting Life, and he was talking about buying them. Remember the old polystyrene aeroplanes that you found in the little packets?
Oh,
and I did the same. I went into Hobbycraft a few months back, and I saw them. I went, "Oh my God, I only bought a couple." But it's that pulling, isn't it, from when you were younger? It's that things that you don't. And they're only like a quid each or something like that. And then when I saw Stu's video and he's talking that he had to go back and then get the lot, and then Georgie ordered the rest of them. You do, don't you? I think that's that thing with Playmobil, why I went down that track, just for the nostalgia of what I was seeing, 18 van, and always said, It
was weird. And it's like the latest one I got for last Christmas, or Christmas, was the Magnum PI one. So you had everything from Knight Rider to, and then we'll get to Knight Rider. Like I said, I don't want to jump the gun because Keith's done something for Knight Rider, which is ridiculous. Q said, if I ever get into Playmobil, Keith and Si, I would get into the USS Enterprise playset. I'd love it. I'd love it.
It's a beast.
The Enterprise is fantastic. It really is a great fun to play with because it's got so many different sounds on it and lights on it as well. And you've got the engineers section in the middle of the body. The engineers section opens where all the batteries go, and there's all the computers in there and all the gadgets in there, and they all light up, and you've got your sounds. And of course, it comes with a full crew. I think it's about 7 figures. The full crew of the bridge, all the main figures that were on the bridge in the Star Trek series. So brilliant. Really is a great toy. Great toy. Great fun.
Dario says, actually, man, go on. Sorry, Keith.
And I was going to say it's Bluetooth compatible. You can actually put a mobile phone. Wow. There's a section in the bridge for a mobile phone, and you can actually link it up to Bluetooth, and it does all kinds of weird and wonderful. I haven't done that with it, but apparently you can do all kinds of weird and wonderful things with it. So.
Like it says right here, Olsen Action Man collection, Keith, been slowly getting back. Yeah, we'll definitely do a Keith's Action Man. Probably get APD on for that as well, because I know he's a big fan, isn't he? In VT. Oh, he is, VTR, he's right here. Yeah. Lady Steph CI, Steph, VTR's here. Wow, what a turnout. PGM, is this the Village People Convention?
Here he is. New Zealand's lethal weapon. Here he is. Mel Gibson himself in here.
Honestly, wow, Keith, you got look at all the fans Keith's got. Look at this. Connors, everybody's turned up for our Keith. Look at this.
Oh, me, oh my.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Cheers for watching and the support. No, thank you for joining us. That's awesome of you. Brilliant. Here we go. Do the Action Man all have gripping hands? Kieran says, asking for Stu.
Some do, some don't. It depends on what year they came out.
So yeah, well, that's what I loved about my Action Man as a kid, because when we had him, it was the only figure that could actually put his finger in the trigger socket of the gun. So he had like a little cold that to put his finger in. And that's why, still to this day, I think outside of Megatron, Action Man will always be my greatest ever toy. Always. They were brilliant. I loved them.
Perfect, isn't it? Question for Keith. Do you think Playmobil will ever do an Enterprise D?
Excuse my ignorance, but I have no idea what that is.
It's the next Enterprise on, but you know what? I thought that funny enough, Stu, because there is quite a few Enterprises. Do you know what I mean? And then you've got other add-ons like the Excelsior and others, haven't you? And I think of the success of that Playmobil Star Trek, what are the chances of them doing more Enterprises? I'd like to see that. I would.
I don't know. I don't know. One thing's for certain. I don't think Playmobil are going to stop where they are now. They're going to bring out more surprises for us.
I hope so, yeah.
Yes, I mean, but the thing is, they say that they're for kids, they're children's toys, and they are still children's toys. But the series that they've been doing, like the Magnums, the A-Teams, the Knight Riders, the people that used to watch those as children are no longer children. We're now vintage children. We're now old bastards who still.
So, well, you know what, Keith? What about if you're sat with an 8-year-old now and you think to yourself, "Oh, I wonder what he'd like. Can I put on the A-Team or Street Hawk for him?" Is he going to sit there and watch it all these years later, or is he going to be bored out of his head within 10 minutes and put his Nintendo on? It makes me think that, you know, what you just said there, they couldn't have been aimed at kids, because what kid sits there and watches Magnum today? No kid, you know what I mean? So.
Tony Z asks, Keith, was Play People essentially Playmobil or different? Good old Tony Z's here.
That's a good question. I've heard of Play People, and I remember Play People, but I don't know if they were marketed by the same people as Playmobil. I'm sure Kieran Ball will tell us. He'll tell us in a minute. But I don't know. Is the honest answer to that. I've heard of Play People, but I'm not sure if they are the same company. Because I know that Playmobil, the company that owns Playmobil is Giobra, and they're a German company, and they
That's right, yeah.
The Playmobil figures they were starting to develop it in 1972. So by 1974 they were up and running, and they went as a company.
Yes,
and they've still been trading. So they've been trading since 1974 under the Playmobil banner, and they're getting stronger and stronger because you can now do so much with them. I mean, they're easy to take apart as well. That's the thing. They come fairly complete. You have to assemble bits of it, but they do come fairly complete. But you can take them apart so easily. Once you've done your first one, you get the idea of how they're engineered. So then you can suss out how the others all come apart.
That makes
and that's
sense.
How, but yeah, I mean, I absolutely love it. The figures are so cheesy. The figures are so simple, and they're so cheesy. But that's what just adds to the
charm.
Of it. Yeah, the charm.
Yeah. If anyone else has got any questions for Keith, though, by the way, throw them in. That's what we're all pals, and that's what we're all here for.
I'd like a few more questions that I say I don't know the answer to.
The other Star I saw was the Klingon Bird of Prey. Yeah, that was a nice one too. That was really nice. Yeah, you're right there.
It wasn't as nice though, was it? And I don't think it was as big either, was it? I was expecting a really big.
Jonathan makes a good point here, Keith, because I think that's why we all bought Playmobil, even if you didn't buy it, because it's the first time you're getting a Magnum PI and a Knight Rider, and Lego had never done this, and obviously the last time you got a Knight Rider in the 70s or 80s, it's an absolute fortune. So they did do it fast. Yeah. Our Zoe says, Keith, do you have any of the giant life-size Playmobil figures?
I don't, Zoe, and you know what? I would absolutely kill for one. Because I would love to have one standing outside the shed, almost like it's on guard. I would love to have one outside the shed. And it's funny because every place I've been, like the Webb's Garden Centre up here, they did Playmobil. They've recently discontinued it. There was another garden centre a bit further up. They had Playmobil in it, and they've largely discontinued it as well now. It's crazy. So many places are no longer stocking it. And they all had the big figures in there, the huge figures. And I've made inquiries about sort of like, when you discontinue this range, can I fit one in the back of my car for a couple of £100 or whatever? But nah, no one's playing. I did see one on eBay a couple of years ago, and it was going for stupid money. It was well over £1,000 this guy wanted for it. So yeah, I don't know what happens to them. And they when these shops discontinue them, I don't know if they go on a skip or if they go back in the truck back to Playmobil. God knows what happens to them. But I haven't got one in my garden yet, and I want one. So
I'd like one. I'd like one of big ones. Yeah.
There it is. So Des has just sent me a picture. Can you see that there?
That's awesome. Yeah. I've got a photo. One of my profile pictures is me outside a toy shop in Worcester, standing next to the full size Playmobil Mr. Spock, and that would be awesome to have one of them.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Question for Keith: can you fit an action man into a Playmobil vehicle? Says our BTR.
You can if it's my Knight Rider truck. You can, because that is huge.
Tony Z says, imagine if Playmobil got the Star Wars license, bring out a Sandcrawler. Yeah. I think they do a brilliant job. I've got to admit they do. I've yet to see something that Playmobil have done that it's all superb, absolutely superb.
But outside of these 80s ones, Mark, have you ever done any other licenses? Because like when Lego, because like Marvel films come out, there's Marvel Lego. Batman films come out, there's Batman Lego. Do Playmobil do that with movies today? Is it like Marvel Playmobil sets or anything like that? Or
no, I mean Asterix, but Asterix is 70s, isn't it? The 60s, 70s Asterix. They've done Asterix, and they just went through this line because, and we were all saying, because when the Back to the Future line, it's right up there for me. If I make myself big a sec, I got every Back to the Future part that Playmobil did, and it's all up there, all across. So, and I absolutely loved it, but then it just stopped. And I thought, oh no, because I'd love the Back to the Future 3 train, or I'd love, do you know what I mean? And there was a hint of it. There was a train pushing the Back to the Future DeLorean on their website, and I thought, oh my life, they're making it, but it never came to fruition. But then when they started to do James Bond's Aston Martin and the Ghostbusters, there's the Playhouse, and they did the Ghostbusters and all that sort of, and I got all that. And then the Magnum PI. I mean, who does Magnum's PI's car now? I was absolutely blown away by it. I really was.
Yeah.
If you have time, I've shown that. What's your most nostalgic Action Man uniform from your childhood, Keith?
But for me, definitely the British police motorcycle and rider. That for me is I had that as a kid because I've always loved the idea of being a policeman. I mean, my dad worked for P&O, and he went around a lot of freight terminals. So I sort of grew up with the British Transport Police, you know, as my friends, and the local copper. Then when I was growing up, living in East London, so I think in about 1978, one Christmas, my mum and dad bought me the Action Man motorcycle and the uniform for the rider for it, and it was civilian police. I think it was the only civilian police thing that Action Man did, apart from the Canadian Mountie. And I loved that. I loved it. Yeah. And I've now got two of them. One I bought was mint and boxed, and I took it out the box. Sorry, Si. Put all the stickers on it. Sorry, Si. I took the uniform off the card. Sorry, Si. And I've got it displayed in my cabinet. And then last Christmas, it sounds like a good title for a song, Catherine bought me a police motorcycle because I was looking for a spare one to do a custom carabinieri bike. Yeah. And she bought me she bought me another British police bike. And I'm telling you now, in all the years that I've been a fan of Action Man, I have never seen one of these secondhand in such great condition. All the stickers were on it. It still had the blue light on it. It still had the telephone on it. That's the first thing that always goes missing. Right. And it still had the little black aerial on the back. It was absolutely perfect. And I said to her, "This is 1978. This is 10 years younger than me. This thing. There's no way that I'm going to Frankenstein this and customize this. I mean, there's no way that I don't mind customizing a damaged one or a wrecked one. You know, one that's gone as yellow as fuck." With old age, excuse my language.
It's all right, fine.
So I left it, and I've now got two. Well, the thing is, when I was a kid, I was massively into Chips, the TV program.
Right.
So when I had this Action Man police motorbike and rider, I was desperate for another one because I saw I could play Chips. But of course, you know, they were expensive, and my dad was like, I'm not going to buy you another one. So now, all these years later, I'm 57 years old, and I've now finally got my two Palatoy Action Man police motorbikes, and they're right up there. Yeah. Unfortunately, I can't show you, but I will send a picture at some point.
Jonathan,
I've seen them, yeah.
Is the Enterprise the biggest set? I was trying to work that out, but then you see the massive mansions that they make, and so I think it's the biggest vehicle they've ever done, John. But I don't think it's the biggest set they've ever done.
I saw a pirate ship in Smiths. And it was massive. It was absolutely massive, this big pirate ship. And every week I was like, I'll get it. And I never picked it up. And they haven't had it back in since. But that was quite a big one. That was really big.
The good thing about Playmobil as well is that you're saying about that mansion. A lot of these sets come basic. They're expensive, but they're basic. Like I've got the Victorian mansion. I've turned it into a hotel. That's going to be my hotel, which I've called the Overlook Hotel after the hotel from The Shining.
Yeah.
And it's got all the carpets in there that was in the film The Shining.
Cool.
So yeah. But that was only 2 floors. It was a ground floor and a first floor. Well, the good thing about Playmobil is you can buy extension packs. And so I bought another floor and then another floor. And so now it's 4 stories high. So now it stands about 3.5 feet tall.
There's a person on YouTube that does it, buys all the expense. You can buy different level size for Playmobil play sets and make them huge. Do you know? So in a way, that's the type of like Lego. Yeah, Smokey the Bandit and Dukes of Hazzard will be out this world. Yeah, I've got another picture to show as well right here. You'll like this one.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Oh. Look at that, eh? Can't get better.
I'm surprised he's not leaning on it.
Well, he's kind of leaning.
I bet he was, and the shopkeeper come out and went, "Will you stop leaning on me, Playmobil? Get off me, pirate."
Keith, would you like to see some Doctor Who Playmobil?
Now that would be a line that would see Playmobil down to the ground, wouldn't it? TARDIS and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, I must admit, I've got a Playmobil sized police box. Which would double up as the TARDIS perfectly, and I've toyed with the idea of doing a Tom Baker custom.
Baker.
That'd be good.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. My daughter just walked in and asked, "Is that Craig David on the TV?"
Yes, it is.
I had the Archie Man Please and motorcycle too. Remember the full? Yeah, we'll definitely do that, Dario. We'll definitely do a stream with Keith Archie Man, because that's worth looking at as well. Let's have a look. I'll just get down here a bit and then we'll start off. Canadian Mountie right up there. Yeah.
Dave loves that figure, doesn't he?
Can I get a rewind? Can I get a rewind? I tell you what, Keith. You can't come on, can you, without the insults and insults?
You know.
So Dario to choose it would be the SAS key figure.
Well, it's right there, Dario, because I said, that there's two I'd like to get back. I would like a German officer, but I've since found out that you can only get a custom German officer for the sort I'm after. I want an eagle-eyed action man back, Velcro hair, scar down the face. I definitely want one of them, but I'd also like the SAS one as well. I think they're the two I would like to pick up. I would.
Yeah. So some of the Knights castles are big, but some for me, they are, Tony. Our Gen family want a hoarding house, a huge castle, big. I think it's from the Novelware or Norware line that they do. What's it called? The castle line that they do.
I know the type you mean. Yeah.
Novelmore. I think it's called. Keith, do you have the Mego Chips figures and bikes as VTR?
No, I don't, Dave. No. And I would love to have them as well, because I remember them as a kid, but I don't think we really got them over here as a kid, did we? But I was aware of them.
No. Yeah. The Victoria Mansion is big, says Nowadays. It's got an extension level 2, so you can add more and more. Yeah, that's the thing. I remember having the Playmobil space figures and vehicles, and they were really cool. They were absolutely brilliant. But let's get onto this. So I want to show the first thing now, and this is the first thing. So what I've done is I've put it all in not in categories per se, but what it was. So the first thing we're going to talk about is this.
All right, yeah.
So that's the standard Playmobil truck that you've done.
It is, yeah. That's yeah.
So if you want to talk through it while I go through the pictures, Keith, explain what this is.
The first picture is the Playmobil Big Rig. That's what they call it, the Big Rig, and it's an American truck with your sleeping quarters in the back, and it has a container that sits on the back, so it's a container truck. What I did was I bought off of Marketplace. It was dirt cheap because, again, this was a big risk. What I was attempting to do here was a massive risk. I didn't realise how much of an operation it would be to undertake. I'd already done my Knight Rider lorry by this time, so I had an idea of how it all came apart. But of course, the back of this particular project was much more difficult. As you can see there, what I did was, in a toy shop, I found a petrol tanker. A plastic petrol tanker, and the tanker was too wide. The actual tank was too wide. So what I had to do was cut with a Dremel, cut both sides down, take about an inch off both sides, and then glue it all back together so that it was the right width.
Right.
So what you see there is all the individual bits that I've carefully cut off to then glue back together. And of course, the danger then. And there it is, there all glued back together now. You can see, compared to the trailer base, it's the right.
So you've cut the sides off there and then trimmed it, and then had to glue it all back. Wow.
Yeah. If you look at the previous picture again.
Yeah.
Look at the previous picture again. That shows it in the part. I've literally taken the bit that's on the extreme right, where your arrow is now.
Yeah.
That's the base of the tanker, which I didn't eventually use. Didn't actually eventually need to use that section. So that's the top bit that's all then glued back together, and you can see that I've cut the side panels out, and then that's the side panels now glued to the tanker, and now people can see now that it's starting to actually look like something that might be a little bit familiar.
Yeah, you've done it with the truck right here as well, taking the top part off the truck and put it.
I've taken the sleeping quarters off, and I've taken off all of the decoration that was on the roof, filled it with model filler. And then sanded it all down. Wow. The beauty of this particular project was that it didn't matter if there was lumps and bumps and creases and cracks in it, because of course the whole thing was going to get totally weathered down anyway. And now you're starting to see now what it looks like. This was after I'd painted it. I'd given it a first paint. Just to get
what do you think, Si? It's just ridiculous.
It's amazing. It's things like that. Like I said, you've looked at something and gone, I want to make something with that, and I know exactly what I'm doing with it. And I think when you've got a focus on what you need to do, that's just mad, isn't it?
The dual truck. It's just ridiculous. Ridiculous. How did you do those registrations at the front of the plates?
They literally are photocopies from photographs or screenshots from a search on the dual fan sites, and then obviously printing them off, saving them, reducing them to size, and then printing them off on adhesive paper, and then gluing them onto sticking them to a backing to make stickers out of them.
You've even got the dust and the grime around the windows. I look where the windows have.
Yeah,
you know
what I did with the windscreen again, because the truck's absolutely filthy and it just looks like a monster rather than it looks like a living thing rather than a piece of metal.
Look at that.
And what I did with and so all the imperfections of the gluing the back together and all that, all the imperfections, it didn't matter because once I painted it all and then hellishly weathered it all down and covered it in sand and crap and stuff, it actually looked. It actually, to be honest, it actually came out a lot better than I expected it to. I was quite happy with it, and of course, I had to put the lights on the front. I had to put the electronics on it because there's that iconic scene where the truck just rolls up under a bridge, and as he looks at it, as the victim, Sam McLeod, what was his name, Dennis Weaver, as he looks at the truck just lights just come on, and it.
I just find it absolutely. It's. I mean, that's the thing. Was this a film you loved as a kid, and you just thought I'd always like a dual truck? Because I would never have thought that. Would you, Si? I would never like dual. You know. Yeah. But the actual look of it is
Matchbox Super Kings back in the day had an army tanker, an army fuel tanker, which was an articulated lorry. And I had that as a kid. And what I did was, much to my dad's disappointment, was I peeled all the US Army stickers off of it. So that it's now just a green or greeny browny truck. And then I got one of my Matchbox red cars, nondescript red cars, and had dual chases around the carpet as a kid. So yeah, I loved that film. It was a film it's one of those films that I've watched so many times. And you still get shivers. You still get shivers at certain.
Well, it definitely inspired you enough to make that. Do you know what I mean? So, you've got to have a good inkling of what that thing looks like, really, for a start, to get any ideas close to that. So, what did you do about the paint? Did you find out what paint it was, or did you just get the nearest you could to the?
I looked everywhere. I searched everywhere because, again, I've got OCD anyway. And I've also diagnosed as autistic some years ago, so I'm quite obsessive. So the paint color was crucial. I had to get the right paint color. Well, I searched high and low, and in some photos it looks brown, in other photos it looks sort of greeny, military green color, because it almost does look like an army truck. It's that sort of khaki, sort of olive color. It's almost like a military vehicle. But apparently it's something gold. It's like a certain type of gold color. That's the original. But of course, it was so old and it was so unkempt that it had lost its original color anyway. So all I did was sprayed it with a sand color, and then I went over it with an olive drab, and then I went over it with the blacks and the sands, and then I had to dry brush it. And then I put masking tape in suitable places across the windscreen, and then sprayed that with sand, so that when the tape peeled off, it just looked like the windscreen was dirty. Apart from the bit
that's one of it's little things for detail that makes that truck stand out, like the way you've weathered all the license plates as well, so that everything. Question for Keith: so when you turn the big rig into the Masks Rhino, are you sending it to me 24-hour or 48-hour delivery so he knows when to be in? So if you can get all the Reynolds for that would be awesome. Stu says absolute quality, Keith. It really is. DTM says that dual truck is something else, Keith. Great work. The paint work is just on next level, said our Jonathan. The muck on the window. That's what I mean, Jono. It's stuff like that. And Miriam says the same thing. Outstanding.
Yeah.
Outstanding work. I don't think that's shabby. Yeah, Si, will you stop telling people in the chat what you're having mayonnaise? They all think it's me, right? Garlic and mayonnaise. That's freaking amazing work, Keith. Yeah, look at Steph. Everybody, honestly, yeah. How many hours did it take to make that? Jonathan asks.
Oh, blimey. I honestly don't know. And this is something that people always ask. And you'd have thought that by now I'd have counted, you'd have thought I'd have put a working clock on a timer. I suppose I probably devote about 5 or 6 hours a day to these projects.
Right.
But that might be more, that might be less, depending on how much the gremlins in my head are attacking me. Because the thing is, once I get this idea in my head, it has to be. And I've said this before. I don't write anything down. I don't work with plans. I don't use diagrams. I don't work like those fire engines.
Right.
They were built completely just from what was in my head. So I can't leave it too long, because otherwise I'm likely to forget what the bloody hell I was doing. So
you kind of do that with your artwork.
For me, I'm far too.
You do that, don't you? What Keith does as well. Do you plan it all outside when you do your piece of your artwork, or do you start from one thing and just work around it?
I think, like Keith, you've got an image in your head, you know what you want to produce, and then, I mean, don't get me wrong, sometimes things can turn out a lot different when you start putting it down on paper, but you know what you're producing before you start. It's like Keith, he probably loved that film Jewel that much that he knew what that truck looked like back to front. Do you know what I mean?
So you do
so
that with so you do that with the portraits you do then, Si. You've loved these characters that you draw so much, you kind of got the idea, but you don't need to plan it out and stuff like that. Is that what you're saying?
You've already had a thought. You already know what you're doing.
Perfect. Question for Keith: what paints do you use? Says our Georgie.
I use in the main for the main parts. I will use rattle cans, spray paints, and I try to use car paints. Believe it or not, actual car paints, because they are fairly cheap and they're also quick drying, and they will work on plastic just as much as they'll work on metal. I desperately try to avoid anything from model shops, because if you go into a hardware store and buy a can of paint for, I don't know, £2.99, or if you go in Hobbycraft and buy the same colour with the word Humbro on it or Tamiya, you're paying £7.99. Because the word modelling or modelers, or
up a bit.
So it's suddenly more pound notes. So I try to do things as cheaply as possible. And that's also part of the enjoyment. That's also part of the enjoyment of it. I don't want to spend, serious amounts of money getting something converted, because if it went wrong, like you say, Si, if it was to go wrong, if that dual truck would have gone wrong, at best I'd have had a complete wreck that was suitable, nothing for the bin, or at the very worst, what I could have done was just put it on the Playmobil City as a wrecked truck, in a breaker's yard or something like that. So as it happens, it's come out really nice.
I agree what Kieran says here. He says, I have never seen a Keith Knight custom piece that isn't awesome. Honestly, some of the pictures you'll see tonight, if you've not seen our Keith stuff before, it's like looking at a side picture or looking like one of Hoppy's creations. It just takes you back, doesn't it? Like, no way, how's that person come up with that? Do you know what I mean? I admire all your talent. Keith, when you're doing that Cliff Richard fan club car, says George. I'll let you think about that while I put this one up. So this one, we're going to look through.
George, see if you can read my mind.
George. This one, we're going to go through fire department stuff. So this is. So you explain this, Keith.
Right. Yeah. This is sadly this is what I tried to send you the video of earlier on, but it failed. This was when I first got it. Now, Playmobil do various fire stations. I think they do about 3 or 4 different versions of fire stations. Well, again, since I was a kid, I've always loved fire engines. What kid doesn't love fire engines? So I needed a Playmobil fire station. Now I knew it was going to be a city, so one pump wasn't going to be enough. What you're actually looking at there are 3 different Playmobil purchases that have been assembled together, and the training tower on the right with a bell, and the bell actually works. I've got a fire alarm. I've got 2 training towers, because I bought them all on Marketplace, so they were incomplete. They come without instructions. and all I did was just added the bits and pieces myself, and I put it all together, and it's got a three bay fire station. So I've got 2 pumps, and then I've got a turntable ladder. All of the firefighters, they are all custom uniforms. They're standard Playmobil firefighters, but all the helmets have been customized. You can see the 2 guys at the front with their white helmets. They are the station officer and the divisional officer. I've actually got more firemen since then, because I've got another 2 fire vehicles since then. And so that's my Playmobil fire brigade. Yeah. And that's the command. That's one of my customs. That's a command unit that I built. London Fire Brigade. Everything's marked up London Fire Brigade, because the city is going to be based on London, although there's going to be no stabbings or shootings or anything like that. And people won't.
So these helmets and these uniforms are all custom.
They're all customs. Yeah, the uniforms, the figures are basic figures, but the vests that they're wearing are painted, and then all the decals, like you can see the checkers on these 2 guys with the yellow vests at the front.
Yeah,
they are fire brigade markings, basically, to denote breathing apparatus controller, incident controller, and stuff like that. And you'll notice that the fireman on the right has got a single stripe round his helmet for misses, and that's a leading firefighter. And then the fireman on the left with the yellow helmet has got 2 black stripes round his helmet. That's a sub officer. And then the firefighter,
like that.
The firefighter with a white helmet, he's the divisional officer or station officer.
Amazing.
Yeah, and that's what it started life as. It started life as a school bus that had no roof. So I got a roof from an old police van, and I made the roof fit by adding bits and pieces to it, so it slides onto the roof and stays there. It clips on.
So you turn that into that, basically.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. I had to cut it all to pieces inside, because it was a school bus, so it had seats all the way through it. Well, as you can see there, it's only got a couple of seats, and the rest of it is like a control room, computer desk, telephone, and radios and stuff like that.
It's ridiculous. It's so good. It's so good. Look at that.
Even got the adverts on the side of the fire engine, advertising smoke alarms and making people aware of stuff.
So good. Oh, look at that, Si. Look at that.
That's with the Overlook. That's with the Overlook Hotel. That's my hotel. That was just a test shot that I wanted to do to see what it all looked like.
And there it is again, right there.
Yeah,
perfect. Look at that. Absolutely.
That's in the shed. That was in the shed today. That photograph was taken. So,
I mean, obviously, there are individual pieces and they're supposed to be a fire engine, but what you've done there, Keith, by sticking the 3, I think for us British as well, that's how we normally see fire stations, 2 or 3 doors, don't we? So
that's right.
It looks a lot more fire stationary, what you've done there than...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
By the way, that's on his work, man. Not mine. Bless her. That's brilliant. Let's have a look. Keith's work is absolutely brilliant. It is, Jason. You're right. I used to buy the tester pots of paints from DIY stores, says Kieran, as much cheaper alternative. That's how cheap I am. But what Keith said, though, it makes a good point. And I did it in my room. So when I was allowed a room, obviously, I wanted to make sure I did it as minimalistic as possible. So it does get your creative juices going, doesn't it? Because I was like, I don't want to go out and spend $150 on a cabinet each and all that. So these cabinets, I bought them, they're like $25 each. And then what you can do is you can add on top of it. That's why these ones are longer than these. And I didn't want to back on it, because when you've got things like Playmobil sign keys or the Millennium Falcon of it, you can actually sit it in. It doesn't have to be hanging off. Do you know what I mean? So I do understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, I've
Where's
done
the
the same.
Summer holiday bus?
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. I would absolutely love. I would absolutely love Playmobil to do a London Route Master bus. I would love them to do a London Route Master bus.
As long as your shelves are level, they're all onto that level of shelves. The level of detail, George says, is incredible, Keith. Yeah.
Thanks, George.
Keith, is there anything you need for customs or anything for your city, says Awadez?
Not really. No, not really, Des. In fact, I've got too much, mate. As I was saying to Shabby earlier on, I've found out now. I've started to put it all together seriously. I've found out that there's large parts of it that I'm not going to be able to include. Like my airport, I was going to have an airport on there. I've got 4 aeroplanes. I've got the airport terminals. I've got all the figures, the pilot figures, the cabin crew. I've got everything. But when I put it all out, it's going to take up a third of my shed space. Now I can't justify one piece taking up that much space. So I've had to abandon the airport.
Yeah.
And
Universal, our good old Stu says, is that Lego on the floor of the fire truck, Keith?
No, it shouldn't be. I can't remember what it actually is. But no, I do use Lego. I do use Lego to customize some bits because it's perfect. But I think that is just a pattern of the actual floor. If I remember rightly.
Palp says I still use Citadel paints that was bought in the late 80s. You've always kept the same paint, haven't you, Si? Is it Winsor & Newton Indian ink?
Winsor & Newton Indian ink. I've used the same ink since I was 14.
Why is that, Si? Why is that?
I love the texture of that ink. There's loads of other inks and stuff, and there's loads of different other makes, but I just love Winsor & Newton. I don't really like... Normally, when you work with ink, you'll see a lot of ink workers, and they have that... Remember when you got a felt tip pen, and you're colouring in, and then when it's dry, you get that line that goes all the way through it, like a vein line. Well, the 2 tricks I use is one using Winsor & Newton, never thinning it, and the second one is using the smallest brush I can possibly find, and then I don't get that ring line. That's one thing that just, again, like Keith, it's the OCD in me. If you don't have it right for yourself, it isn't right for anybody. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Because I remember, Simon, you've always used that ink, so long as I can remember. Yeah. You've always used it. I remember me and Jenny got you an easel for Christmas, and it was Winsor & Newton. I thought, oh, I love that because of the paint. You know what I mean? So yeah, Keith, you could do one more shelf level above the city for the airport, or would that be too big?
Yeah, I mean, I have considered that for some of the other bits because I will have shelves. I will have shelves going around the top of it.
Mrs. sat there fuming.
Me A-Team, me Knight Rider, me Chips, me Robocop, me Magnum. They're not going to go on the Playmobil City. They're not going to go on the Playmobil City. They might make an appearance for certain episodes of the Shabby Show.
Yeah, come on,
but they're going to.
Awesome.
But they're going to go on separate displays around the outside. So if I've got enough room to put a unit along the top, I might be able to get the airport on there. Because what Playmobil do as well is the Alpine cars. You know, the old cable cars.
Yeah, they do.
Oh yeah.
So I did toy with the idea a while back that if I did actually have a second tier, I would just then get the cable cars. So that then you can actually, rather than using your imagination, I'm flying myself to the airport.
Yeah.
You can actually get a cable car to the airport, and then off you go to round the garden for a flight.
I love the way you think, Si. I just love it.
My brain. I hate my brain.
Would you ever do a West Ham victory bus?
Now, he has done one victory bus, which I absolutely love.
Well, we're going to get to
one of the best things you've done. I love it.
We're going to get to the buses. Keith, could you get a minibus for Everton fans? But it might be too big. Charming. Can I laughing? Charming. Jonathan Redmond, it's great stuff. Lasts forever. It's rare, and I had to bin one. Let's have a look at this. Now, this one I'm going to show. I've got to admit, he's one of my personal favorites. When I saw you make these things, I was blown away. This is unbelievable. So let me just share my screen. Sorry about that. Oh, hang on.
Screen.
You know, it might even be better if I actually stuck it up, So let's just get it here. There we go. So this is one of my favorite sign keys. I love this thing. So it starts off like this.
Oh yeah.
So I like the way you didn't send me these, but I've had these for ages. I've had it and the reason I've had it,
I'd forgotten not to taken these
No,
pictures.
I've had them a long time. These because honestly, I don't just like I said, I'm not a person that blows smoke. I was amazed by this, but I love the way you do this. Now, Simon, there's a question for you too. When you draw your artwork, Si, do you do what Keith does? Is like once you've got done a little piece, you take a picture of it, or do you not do the planning like this?
No, I never do that. I only do that if people want to see the work. Like some people can't wait; they've got no patience and they want to see it right there and then, even in pencil. So that I will do. People have paid, especially paid for a commission, but no, I don't photograph it as I go along. There's no need, really, is there? Because when mine's finished, it's on somebody's wall, and so yeah.
Well,
and
actually,
after that, commissions are
what's
private to people, so it's not really a thing that I photograph along the way when it's for somebody's grandma or auntie or pet.
Got you.
Or you know.
The reason I say that, Si, because I know sometimes when me and you were talking behind the scenes, you'll have gone, "Oh, Shabby, look what I'm making," and you've done half of it, and I'm like, "Wow!" And I always thought, I wonder if Si takes pictures as he's going. Do you know what I mean? But you know, it makes sense that you do it for commissions. What was this, Keith? What was this truck here when it started off?
This was a very old Playmobil police van. And then my sister-in-law bought me this. She bought me it. They live right up in the back hills of Scotland. They live right out in the Highlands of Scotland. And she found this in one of her local charity shops and sent it to me. Now it wasn't complete. It had no blue lights on it. It had nothing worked, no electrics. And I've got all my police. You know, I've got all the police. I want to do a dog unit. I wouldn't mind having a police dog unit. But I've got all the police that I needed for the time. So, and that van didn't fit with the other two vans that I had. So,
right.
And it was her, kudos to her. It was her that actually said, because at the time, Catherine had bought me the Playmobil Mini Cooper.
Yeah.
And this is a bit of a spoiler alert, but it was her that actually suggested I could turn this into.
Well, let's get there. Let's get there, yeah, because this is what you see. Change it all gold and so forth, right there. So but look at what it is. It's the Italian job. I just look at that. That's just how do you come up with that? It's just brilliant. Look at it.
Quality, that isn't it?
Quality. So when he showed me that, well, first of all, I saw the cars, which we'll get to. And then he goes, "Oh, I also made the truck." And I was like, "Oh, okay." When I saw it,
I actually did the truck first. I actually did the truck before I did the cars, because the idea was she said to me, if you do decide to do the Italian job, then I thought you could use this as the bullion truck, the security truck.
Yeah.
And I hadn't really thought that seriously about it, and I was toying with the idea of what to do with this vehicle. So I thought, well, sod it, I'll have a go at doing the bullion truck. Well, the windows, you see the barred windows.
Yeah.
I had those in my spares box because they came off of one of the police riot vans that I customed. So I had loads of these spare windows with the bars in them. So I just clipped them in place after I'd painted it. The silver strips that you see down it, they are lolly sticks that have been cut down. Because that is raised. They are raised. That's not paintwork. That's like a raised bumper, reinforcement to the armor. Same as the bits that go around the wheels, the bits that stop the tires from being shot at, and stops the side of the vehicle from being rammed. And the bit of the front, I had to have that curved. Like the front wheel, I had to have that curved to allow for the wheels turning, even though the wheels don't turn. But on the real vehicle, they would have done. And of course, it's got that silly blue light on it. I don't know why it ever had a blue light on it for a security van, but it had a blue light on it. And of course, that flashes, because if it's got a light on it, it's got a flash. That's how my head works.
So there's the Mini Cooper that's with it, and they turned into them.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Well, that Mini Cooper that's beside the van in the previous picture.
Yeah.
That is the standard Mini Cooper that Playmobil brought out, which I've still got. Because that was a gift from Kat, so I weren't gonna customize that. So I've got, and then what I had to do was buy a further 3 minis. This is why I was reluctant to do it, because if you just do one mini, you've got to do the other two, especially the way my OCD works. If you've got one, you can't have one Italian job mini. You've got to have all of them. That's the law. You've got to.
Yeah, but you've got the old school paint though, here. That looks like a vintage blue, and that looks like a vintage red. Do you know what I mean?
I actually researched the exact colours of those minis. The exact colours. The blue was the exact colour blue. The white was an old English white, so it wasn't a brilliant white. It was just an off white. So on camera, it didn't look brilliantly shiny under the studio lights and all that. And the red was discontinued in about 1970. So what I did was I got the closest colour match paint that still exists.
Yeah.
So good,
so the actual three cars are as near as damn it in the same colour paint as the original minis from the film.
So how
Right.
did
Have
you
you
Sorry,
got Camp Freddy's scarf on there as well on the figure?
Yeah.
Can I see it painted on there? Just about to see it.
Camp Freddy.
That's brilliant.
The one with his visor up, the one with his helmet visor up, that's Charlie Croker.
Yeah.
You can just about see the drivers. The drivers are all in their respective colour uniforms. So the red driver red, white driver white. The guy on the right with a baseball bat, that's Camp Freddy. You can't really see his scarf, but he's wearing a pink cravat. Camp Freddy.
So you customize these helmets all customized to in the actual uniforms.
The helmets are Playmobil American football helmets that I literally used the Dremel on to cut them down to make them look like right helmets, and then painted them grey, and then painted the front grille silver, so they just look like the sort of right helmets that they wore in the film.
Look at that.
Quality, man.
Call me gold bars. Call me gold bars.
Quality. Yeah. It's so good. Look at it. It's just brilliant. This is one of my favorites, definitely. I mean, it's just...
It is. And when you think what we've just spoke about before, and we've just spoken about the amount of nostalgia that pulls us back into Playmobil, and that you look at a set like that a fan's done, and I think 9 times out of 10 I would have bought that set before any of the other sets that had come out. Do you know what I mean? Because the look of it is just so good. It just looks the part all the way through. Brilliant, Keith.
That's fantastic. Yeah, look at that. That's fantastic. The Self-Preservation Society. Yeah, I told you not to blow the bloody doors off. Says our PGM. Brilliant. Yeah, it's what I mean, Gilston. Look at this.
It's fantastic.
I was so happy that when I asked Keith to do this, he said he would. I just love his stuff. Gold bullion, nice. So did they get home, or are they still stuck on the mountain? Says Jason.
Oh no! Oh, that has got to be the most irritating ending to a film ever, isn't it?
Well, my Claire, Keith, right? She can't do. She has to have closure on everything. If I do the knot, she has to finish it off. So I knew she'd love the Italian job, but I knew the ending would drive her crazy. Yeah. And she sat there, my Claire, and this is only about a couple of weeks back, and she's loved all the Italian job, and that ending just drove her up the wall. I'll tell you now, she was going mad. For me, I like to think that they got away. I like to think that they all told it up. They got the thing because there was so much went into it. So I always like to think they got away with it. They did it.
Yeah. I mean that's it. They were criminals. They were thieves, you know. But it's one of those films where you actually love the bad guys and you really want them to get away with it. You really do want them to get away with it. Oh, that ending though. I mean, that's probably got to be one of the best endings to a film in film history.
Without a doubt. Yeah, it's the ending. Brilliant. Perfect. I'd love to know how many minis that movie helped sell. I bet they
must have sold them thousands.
I agree.
They used apparently an absolute ton load of them. It's not just the 3 minutes. They used absolutely dozens and dozens of them in the film. Some were obviously wrecked in stunts that had gone wrong and stuff like that. And but yeah.
So we watched it because my Claire's a mini driver. So I said, "Oh, you love these films. Let's see the stunt she's minis thing." That's why we watched it, because she loves minis, Claire. So, but again, she loved the Italian job. She thought it was great.
Don't forget, Michael Caine did have an idea at the end.
No idea.
Benny Hill's the Italian job. Yeah, he is. You're right.
Yeah. My favourite in the Italian job is Mr. Bridger. He just is. And I know people say that thing about blow the bloody doors off, but my favourite quote is, "And if they give you any hassle, kick the bloody teeth in." He said like that film, it always makes me laugh.
Our good friend David says Keith's display needs a mounting for the cable car. Don't get him riding down and thinking his wife sat there going, "Shut up, VTR."
The coach, Dave, the coach, that is something that I've been. That's a scratch that's waiting to be. An itch that's waiting to be scratched.
No,
Dave, you've got me in trouble now, you bastard.
Same with the Dukes of Hazzard. Think about 60 cars were used for the General Lee. And Gilsey said something before about that, about if they made a Smoke in the Bandit, if they made Smoke in the Bandit, I'd be made up. Do you know what I mean? The Dukes of Hazzard, that'd be absolutely brilliant.
Yeah,
so,
it'd be interesting.
So now you're seeing everyone the theme and how he does it, like the Italian job, and it's just ridiculous, the stuff you come up, the dual truck and all this. But this again, it's hard because you say, "Oh, this is one of my favorite." But this one, you're all gonna get a kick out of this one. So I'll start off with this.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, this is quality.
See again, that is a standard Playmobil big rig. I bought that off of Marketplace for £15. The actual things new are about £60-70. And if I'm gonna Frankenstein something, if I'm gonna rip it to pieces and customize it, I don't want to spend that sort of money on it. I don't want to spend it because if it all goes wrong, it's been a monumental waste of money. So I'll do it as cheap as possible. And I was lucky enough to get this dirt cheap.
Yeah. So then we start to break all that up. Sorry about that picture. It was a little bit fuzzy, but that's there.
It's all right.
All broken up.
My photography.
So you can see now what it's turning into. Look at this. Look at this. Look at now. That's the back of it. Look at that with the lights and everything. How hard was it to do? I mean, even the carpet and everything. So it's just ridiculous.
He must have watched hours of Knight Rider. You must have done hours and hours. You must have done.
Well, the thing is, if you watch through the series and even if you Google images of it, the inside of the truck changed over the series, over the series. So what I did was I did a bastardization of the various versions tucked into one.
Yeah.
The thing that annoyed me was, unfortunately, the Knight Rider car won't fit into the back of the container, so I couldn't have. So that's why I only did it as a smaller truck. I did it as that's the engineering section. If you look at those on the right, the previous picture, if you look at those bits on the right, you can see the tools there. You've got a wheel brace, and on that black shelving unit, you've got all tools. You've got a screwdriver, you've got a drill, you've got various.
Some of these pieces came with the actual Knight Rider car, didn't they? Like the office centre and so forth.
And then some of them I've added myself from garages, scenes and stuff. That's a Playmobil sofa down there. That's for Devon Miles to relax in. That's another standard Playmobil control unit. Computers, desks, the sort of computer panel in the wall, big screen, and your lights.
Look at that!
Lights. It's not like to have lights. It's got everything has to have lights on it.
But everything's got like maps and graphics and pictures and everything on it. You know,
proper set, yeah.
It is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous how good that is. Wow, man.
That's great.
And that's the end product now, how it turned out. Look at that side.
Well, that's how it looked then. It looks different from that now. What I did was I couldn't get my head around it being that small. And even though the car won't fit in the back, I had to add another container because I had a spare container. Because don't forget, I'd done the dual truck, and that came with a container. So I had a spare container. So what I did was then cut the back off one container and cut the back off the other one, fuse them together. I used the axle off. So the front part of that trailer is the front part of the big rig trailer, and then it's held together by a wood in the center. And then the back axles have been cut off of the trailer, and they stick perfectly. They clip on. They just clip on, so the whole container can just be just taken off, for want of a better word. I can detach it. But so now that looks more like the Knight Rider truck because it's big. It's the proper size now. And what I did with the back was I don't know if you've got a photograph of the back of that truck, Shabby.
No, not of that one. That's the latest one I've got. Yeah.
And that's got what I did was, because even though the car won't fit inside it, I did it up so that it looks like a car parking area.
Yeah.
So oops. Well, fortunately, I've got it here.
There we go.
And so as you take off the rear section, there's something rattling around inside it. Oh, I've got your figures and stuff. And this has got the lights inside it for the maintenance bay. So the car, that's where the car parks, that's where the car goes, if it fit. And then you've got your maintenance lights and all that going all the way through it.
What did you use for them side panels? Because they're quite reflective.
They believe it or not, they are literally the lids off of the foil takeaway food containers that you get from like the Chinese.
He thinks of that side. He thinks of that.
Literally, Cat, because Cat used to work at Morrison's in the kitchen, in the staff cafe.
Right.
And she brought me a shitload of them home one day and said, like, brand new unused cardboard foil tops. And said, any use to you? And I said, oh yeah, I'm sure they'll come in useful for something. Well, they did.
Yeah, they definitely did. Yeah.
George Aiken says, get a mountain and do where eagles dare bussing cable car. Jonathan says, on the bright side, Cat, it won't be on the carpet. Vintage Story says, yep, I'm here all night with ideas. I will have to take his bank card off him, says Cat. And George says, I thought you already had. And Delvin says, I'm shocked you haven't already. We don't have carpeted wood flooring. Brilliant. On Knight Rider, I thought it was a casting couch. Very good, very good.
Probably.
Kevin says, I thought it was a mobile brothel. Keith even did eat a hot Junction eating burger night as well. Brilliant. Really good, Keith, mate. That's the only way to eat a burger, PJ. I agree with that. I think they actually what's said in these video pulps. That's proper big. Yeah, he's brilliant. And Tony Z says, build Heathrow. Just build it while you're at it. Absolutely brilliant. Honestly, Si, what can you say about this stuff?
It's a talent. That's the way I can see it. Like I said, it's good that you can see things like that. It's a talent. It really is. I would never look at a Playmobil truck and go, do you know what I can turn that into? Never. No. Do you know what I mean? My brain just doesn't work that way around at all.
What do you miss? Listen, why
again, I see it a lot though. Do you know, to be fair, there is so many custom guys that I've seen in this community over these past 6 years that are just so good at what they do. You know, whether you're Smuggler's Canyon doing his dioramas, whether you're G-Force when he does his dioramas and his vehicle ships, whether it's you, Keith, the Playmobil stuff that you can put together, and it looks like a proper official Playmobil set.
That's what I mean.
It's crazy.
Have you seen Uppy's stuff? What Uppy makes? That's what I mean.
There's too many to name, isn't there? There's so many.
I'd love to have Uppy on as well, talking about his stuff.
But there are so many people in the community that have got like huge talents. I mean, look at you, Si. I couldn't do what you do. Look at what you do, Shabby. I couldn't do that either. I couldn't do that. I wish that I could draw like you, Si. I wish I could just get a bit of blank paper and then end up the way your artwork. Oh, God, blimey.
I think that's the thing. I think what he's done over the past few years, Si and Keith, it's shown us that we're a lot more than just collectors. And I think as collectors, that inspires us to do furniture or customs or artwork and that kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? It goes hand in hand, if it will.
And it's not just that. It's like sometimes I can go on Instagram and I can see some of these photos that these lads put together with their figures and backgrounds and stuff. And I'm like, that looks just exactly a scene from that film. Do you know? And they're done in the toys that I have. And that's another thing that amazes me, how they get the right light and shadowing and effects on these pictures to make them look as good as what they do. But they do, don't they? Some of them are great that you see.
Yeah, good point. Think of it this way, Kat. At least he's not bothering you while he's doing his Playmobil thing. Kevin Ball says, Keith reminds me of those extremely clever prisoners of war from like The Great Escape. He would turn any old rubbish into an intricate escape.
Yeah. Keith is like the A-team, isn't he?
Talking about old TV shows and 80s stuff is something else. What were we going to say, Keith? Sorry, did I cut you off?
No, I was going to say it's this community that is the reason why I take the photographs of the progress that I make, because I never used to, because obviously the only person that ever saw them was me. But when I started showing some of my Code 3 police cars and stuff, and people would say, well, how do you get it all apart? How do you take this apart? How do you do that? And and so I started showing photographs because it's easier than doing a video. And that's the only reason I do those progress photographs, is because you guys have asked me so many times how I do it.
Well, it tells a story on here tonight as well. We've started from what it used to look like to what it ends up with. This is cool, Si. Look at this.
Stop, or there will be trouble.
That is brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I like that. How did you get that gun? That's a lot like RoboCop's gun.
That is a standard Playmobil handgun with the barrel cut off, and then it's a standard Playmobil machine gun with the barrel cut off and glued on upside down, so it looks the same shape. And that helmet, see that helmet?
Yeah,
that's the same helmet as the Italian Job gangsters. The Italian Job helmets. That is an American football helmet that has been dremeled. So one last piece remains. That's the eye slot. And what I did was then put a bit of red transparent paper, a bit of red transparent plastic in there where the eye bits are.
It's quality.
And then painted the strap, the chin strap, and the neck. And of course, I had to do the car. You can't have RoboCop car. And then I had to do Anne Lewis, didn't I? So I had to do Officer Lewis as well. So
yeah, mint.
Look at that side.
Yeah, it's quality.
Yeah, it is brilliant. And there's Lewis right there. Look at that. Look at the Detroit Police on the sleeve. That's just so cool. That's so cool. OCP, I know what is it? It's just. Yeah. I don't know what to say. They're just so good. Do you know what I mean? It's just weird that you turn something like that into that. And the nicest thing about it is you can tell the way you've done that. It's Playmobil. It's not meant to be realistic, and it's not meant. It's meant to fit into this world.
Yeah, and it does. And it does.
If you look at his trousers or his legs, they are one of the Playmobil Knights. So what that is, that's a suit of armor. So it was silver anyway. And what I've done is I've just gone over the whole thing with one of those Molotov paints to give it that sort of shiny chrome finish.
Just absolutely brilliant. RoboCop, brilliant. RoboCop's Playmobil and Anne Lewis has done a Lewis figure before. Necker has. Yeah, they have. DTM, you're exactly right.
Yeah.
Soon will be a RoboCop says, there you go. Hey, there you go. Nice to see you, buddy. Let's have a look. When are they opening a Playmobil City for visitors? Oh, well, you never know. Yeah, we'll all be around the keys.
Once it's up and running, you chaps are welcome here anytime you want, anytime.
Tim B says, Keith is a Coke fan. Do all the Christmas Coca-Cola lorries.
No.
He ain't doing one of them. Oh, let's have a look what else we've got.
That might be cool, Keith. All the lights you could put in a Christmas Coca-Cola one.
Oh, they did.
Like a big one, all Father Christmas at the side. You'd like that one, mint. But you'd have to put loads of lights in it, wouldn't you?
Yeah. RoboCop's gun explanation from Keith. Of course you did, Keith. I mean, it's obvious, isn't it? Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, it's just
there you go, Mobile Cop. That's absolutely brilliant. Let's see. I'm loving going through all these. Oh, now this one. I said it about all of them. But this one, this is superb. Wait. Now, how you came up with this is genius. So we start off with this.
Even I'm surprised some of these. Oh yeah.
So that's a standard Playmobil emergency helicopter.
That's a standard Playmobil air ambulance helicopter. And Catherine bought me that from New. You can see the box there in the background.
Yeah.
Now I don't like doing these. I don't like doing this. I don't like turning brand new stuff and customizing it. I really don't like doing it. I did it with that police van that she bought me one Christmas, but I did that with her blessing. Well, the only reason that I've done this was because I said that I wanted a helicopter because I wanted to do this, and she tried to buy me a second-hand one, but she just thought in the end, sod it, I'll just buy him a new one. She was quite happy for me to totally customize it. I had no room for an air ambulance in my Playmobil City, so I went on with a custom, and I'm glad I did because it didn't come out too bad.
It didn't come out bad at all. So you've taken it apart
No.
there. Then obviously you've sealed it and wrapped it and so forth to be painted.
That's the undercoat. Yeah, that's just my undercoat primer.
So maybe people can start to see what it's coming now. Maybe that might give it away, the box in the side.
I had to paint it yellow first because obviously yellow being the brighter colour. Then I had to mask off all the yellow bits and paint the brown on.
You done it with the blades too, painted the blades?
The blades, yeah, they were painted exactly as the one is in the... and you can see TC there. Then I had to mask it all off again. The whole thing had to be masked off again to spray paint the orange on there. It was a pain in the arse. It really was a pain in the arse. But I think it was worth it. There you go.
Look at that.
Yeah, man.
And there was two types of that. There was two types of that island hopper that they used. One had the very small lettering, the serial number, and then one had the very big serial number. And I just thought for a toy, the big serial number would look better.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'll be able to notice it in the first picture, but the tail fin had no. There you go. If you look at the tail fin, the propeller is at the top of the tail fin, and then the two sticky out fins. I'm not an aviator, so forgive me if I'm getting all this terminology wrong. The two orange bits that stick out, the other tail parts, I had to take them off and transfer them over. If you look then to the finished picture, you'll see that the propeller,
they are gone there.
Yep. And you'll see that the propeller, the tail fins are now at the top, and the propeller is now at the bottom, just the same as the actual helicopter. That's how the actual helicopter.
See it, yeah.
I mean, look at that. And it fits perfectly.
Do you know what surprised me for this? This is the first time. I mean, I've seen this a few times off your keys, but this is the first time I've realised how much of a paint job this was. It was, even though there's 3-4 colours in it, it's quite a paint job, isn't it? Really, getting them strips right and
huge, absolutely huge. It's without a doubt the trickiest paint job I've done since the Airfix battleships back when I was in my prime, all those years ago. Great work. Getting them straight. And you'll notice there as well that Higgins has got his two dogs. Because he came with a parrot in the Playmobil Magnum set.
He did, yeah.
So I took two Dalmatians and cut their ears off and glued different ears on, and then cut their tails down and painted them. And then I painted the tan bits on. And I actually looked at photographs of Zeus and Apollo as well to get the markings on their brindle.
He's a nerd, Si. He's a nerd.
That's how anal I am. That's how anal I am.
Brilliant. G-Force, good old G-Force is here. He said, I agree, Keith. I've had a hard time customizing new things. I don't mind a pop and swap, but actually altering a new toy gives me anxiety. And let me ask you a question. Yeah, have you ever started something and you've wanted to make something that just didn't work, that you just weren't happy with at all? Hey, GB?
I've got to say that I suppose there must be. Law of average dictates that there's got to have been something that I've started and then abandoned for good. But the problem with me is that the gremlins in my head won't let me stop. So if something goes wrong, there's plenty of times that I've painted something, put all the decals on it, and then looked at it and gone, that's not right. And then I've stripped it all back again to the bare knickers, and then resprayed it and put new and there's times when I've done these things 2 or 3 times until I'm happy with it, but I can't remember actually ever abandoning a project completely.
Do you do that side with yours?
My brain don't work like that.
Have you ever done what Keith's done, Si? Have you ever started a piece of artwork, Si? Because like I said, I mean,
don't forget, it's a lot cheaper for me to make mistakes than it is for Keith. Like, I start drawing and I start sketching out and scaling out, and I will rub that out until it's right. Do you know what I mean? So I've not thrown any paper away. I've not discarded anything that I've overused. You know, all the work for me is in my pencil. So once I know my pencil's right, then I can't get it wrong. Unless I've spilled the ink or something. Do you know what I mean? But, it's all different, really.
The helicopter, I want to see this, is Keith. The Magnum PA out of TC Island Hopper really is awesome like that. So GP Mobile's coming to see us. That's epic, Keith. Paint straight, it's all clean.
Here it is, I've got it here.
Oh god.
Keith, you need to start
You
segmenting
can see
these
what I
and
meant.
sending them
You
off
can
to
see
Playmobil.
See what I meant about the. You can see what I meant about the towel.
Yeah.
I've
Put it at the
completely
bottom so
changed
it's
how the
out.
back of the helicopter look. And of course, thing is, because it was an air ambulance, it's got the bit on the back that comes out where you put the stretcher into. And because it was an air ambulance, it had seats. The back was completely empty for a stretcher, but I had to put seats in it because obviously it's not an ambulance anymore. So I had to put seats
That's
inside it.
Yeah.
And of course, one very, very happy man is TC, who's now got his helicopter. And I had to build him a set of headphones because he didn't come with any headphones. So I had to build him his headphones and his mouthpiece. And there he is.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
So
Ridiculous. Can I just say as well, we've had 40 to 50 people all night tonight. So thank you all much for supporting Keith with his hobby. I appreciate that. That's awesome of you guys. Sticky Out Fins is the actual technical name.
I thought it was, Kieran. Thanks, mate. Yeah, I'm glad I got that right.
Geek Strong's popped in to say hello. Rob's popped in to say hello. Masking for painting sucks donkey dongs. Thanks for that, Chief. Yeah. But taking the tape off is so satisfying. Exactly.
What I do, should I tell? Not teaching anybody to suck eggs, but there might be a few people out there that don't know this. For all the people out there that do know it, this is the trick. What you do is you mask off your stripes. So I use Tamiya masking tape. That's the only time I actually use proper modelling stuff, because that Tamiya masking tape is absolutely the dog's doodahs. It doesn't pull any paint off, and it seals everything perfectly. But belt and braces, what I do is once I've masked it, I will spray the area that I'm going to paint with a clear varnish. And what that does is that seals any bleed that there might be. So when you actually then come to spray it with the colour, when you peel off the tape, the only bleed that you've got is clear varnish. And of course, you can't see that because it's clear. So you end up with perfectly straight lines. So that's a little trick. Yeah. Just spray everything with varnish, clear varnish first, and then you'll end up with
Simon, he does all this with paint, and he knows every trick in the book. But Kat says he couldn't even tell you what colour my eyes are.
That's what I use, Steve. I use the same sort of thing. It's it's just a thing. So when I do my artwork, because I don't want people smudging it or anything after when it goes to them, quick spray over, nothing comes off. Do you know what I mean? Keeps everything smooth and smudge free.
I can hear the Magden theme when I see this. Our Georgie turns on and says, just so cool, been toying with the idea of doing my own customs. Inspired by tonight, I pulled the trigger on vintage low. Wow.
Well, looking at your stuff, the way you make your puppets and stuff, I would be very interested to see what you come up with. Because again, Georgie's another one in the creative world, isn't she? Some of them puppets on our top puppets absolutely amazed me, really did.
That's the thing, and so what I'm trying to say is for you, Si, where you're at, and everybody in the chat, and especially Keith, for you to share your stuff, for you to share what you do, and to share your talent, and not to be arsey about it. And I'll give you a hand, I'll give you help, because I know people have probably reached out to you, Simon, and gone, Simon, how do I get this shading right? And for you both to take the time out to it, I think you're both awesome for it. I really do. And even Delvin said tonight, I know I found tonight so inspiring. That's awesome.
I've had so many people say to me, "Oh, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that." But you can. You can. It's just. I mean. I weren't born like it. I wasn't trained to do it. I'm not professional, What I do is all right for me. It's not 100%. They're not 100% perfect, but they're all right for me. They do for me. And I would say to anybody that wants to do them, do it. Go for it. Go for it. And if it ain't right first time round, just do it again. Just redo it. Just redo it. Just keep going. And eventually you'll be fluent at it. You'll start getting those ideas. I mean, I didn't learn that clear varnish trick for myself. Somebody else told me that. So we're all learning all the time. I'm still learning. There's things I'm doing now. I mean, like my Playmobil buses. When I first painted those, I painted them in situ. but I had to repaint one recently because it was I discovered it was actually a darker shade of red than the other one.
Yeah.
So, but what I actually did now, 2 years down the line, I'm a bit more experienced. I realised that I can just take the bust apart. So instead of masking it all off and spraying it or painting it as one, I took it to pieces so I could spray it without any need to mask anything.
Yeah.
So good.
I'll show you the buses in a minute because I've never shown the buses on here before.
Show them,
They are
definitely.
based on London buses. Unfortunately, they're not double deckers. Although I'm toying with the idea of trying to do a Playmobil custom double decker by Frankensteining 2 single decker buses into one double decker.
You're gonna put a TJC that you got to. You've got to put a TJC in that, driving that bus. You know what I mean?
I might do it in Terry's bus colours, or I might just do it as a London bus and have a Terry figure driving it. Have a Terry figure. Have a Terry figure standing by the door, throwing an old lady off.
Yeah.
Pushing her off like they did with James in Ireland, just pushing her off. Brilliant. Is there a Playmobil Keith and Cat? This is a good segue. This is a really good segue.
No, there isn't.
No, there isn't. But I tell you what, there is though. So there's a famous.
Sorry, Shabby. Go on. Carry on.
I was gonna say there's a famous pub in England that we all know about, that we all do, and you came up with this genius idea. So I've got a video here of this famous pub. Let's just have a look at this
famous pub.
We're all going on a summer holiday. No more working for a week or two. Fun and laughter on a summer holiday. No more worries for me or you for a week or two. We're going where the sun shines brightly. We're going where the sea is blue. We've seen it in the movies. Now let's see if it's true. Everybody has a summer holiday, doing things they always wanted to. So we're going on a summer holiday to make our dreams come true. For me and you.
This will be brilliant.
It's going behind the bar.
I know.
We're going where the sun shines brightly. We're going where the sea is blue. We've seen it in the movies. Now let's see if it's true. Everybody has a summer holiday, doing things they always wanted to. So we're going on a summer holiday to make our dreams come true. For me and you.
Sorry, TV, I'm not bar made me laugh. Man.
How good is that?
I called her new fiance, Joe, and I actually asked Zoe's permission, and she sent me a photograph of him so that I could get the likeness of him just perfect.
It looks just the same.
I love doing customs. This Playmobil mob feeds me ideas and I build them. Exactly right, pals. Yeah, all of us have different talents. We have modelers, artists, puppeteers, builders, fixers, electronic experts, and Connor's ability to drink Guinness. Look at Zoe. Hey, I know, how good is that?
Oh, Zoe.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
The thing is, inside that pub, as you noticed, because it's Star Wars, there's his sticker, which I had to miniaturize. I had to copy and miniaturize to go on the wall of the pub. I've also got a tiny R2D2, which I'm going to put in the corner of the pub as well. But there's other little Easter eggs other little bits in there that people might miss. I mean, did anybody notice, by the way, the cat asleep?
Yeah. I saw the cat asleep. I'd say what else I noticed, it made me laugh. All the glitter from the doorway, that made me laugh. All the glitter tassels that were coming down. All the ribbons. That was funny.
Well, Zoe sent me a photograph of that and said, we've got these streamers in the doorway, and I thought, well, how am I going to do them? But I've got some silver glittery string here, and so what I've done was cut lengths off and then painted them, coloured them with felt tip pens, purple and green, and then hung them over the doorway, and they came out all right. Did anybody else notice as well? Anybody else notice as well? Over by the door, the main entrance, there were 3 dishevelled-looking guys in suits drinking whiskey. That's the local CID. The local CID were in for a visit.
Zoe giving away free booze. CID have turned up.
Oh no! She charges them bastards double and quite rightly too.
Global Valder says, waiting for the young one's double decker to pull out through the door. Says T's happy with that. Oh, great. This song, Summer Holiday, is stuck in my head now, says Geek Strong. Amazing. So many words could be exchanged for the Thistle doing that. Yeah. Are those tables made from what's in the middle of takeaway pizzas?
Yes. Exactly,
wow.
Tony. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would never have noticed that, Tony. Brilliant.
Well,
the activity speech day, like the pub scene and the watching the football and the pool day, you behind the bar, it's a happy night at the Thistle do. I just love it. I love it. Hi, JT. Nice to see you, pal. Absolutely brilliant.
Oh yeah, the poster. I did the poster for the side of the pub as well, didn't I? I sent a photo of that. I don't know if you've got a photo of that, Shabby, anywhere, but yeah, I did the poster for the side of the pub, the entertainment, like the weekly entertainment.
I will show these two. I pulled these 2 pictures up of it. And then, because this is what I said before about what VTR was saying about people you've done. So there's Joe and Zoe right there. There's the outside of the bar. Brilliant. This is superb. There it is. So they're pizza things. What's inside pizzas? Wow.
Yeah, looks great.
Look at the way you decorated that bar. And that was what I mean with the tassels. There's the tassel side on the left right there.
Yeah.
You'll even notice as well. You'll even notice as well there, just beside the fridge, there's a rack of KP peanuts. Like you used to be able to get, just see them. And your 3 empty pint glasses on the table. All the pumps are all hand built, and all the stickers for them have all been hand built and cut out. So they were a sod to cut out because they were so tiny.
Yeah, look at all the beer pumps and you got the booze behind the counter.
You got Malibu up there. You got whiskey. You got vodka.
Malibu, only the best that the Thistle do. Oh, it's just superb. I absolutely love it. Now, also, what I've got pictures of here is I've got a couple of extras I just want to show before I get to my main thing I want to talk about. So let's just pull that up. These are a few more that I've just got like alternative pictures of, guys. So if you want to talk about through these, Keith. So there's that one.
Oh yeah. Well, that's just an idea I did, and then I put the lettering on afterwards. Just a photo for fun, really. But the 2 buildings in the background are Scooby-Doo mansions. One's a Scooby-Doo mansion. The other one is an ordinary doll's house thing that I just painted in the same colours to make an extended Scooby-Doo mansion. That's for my Scooby-Doo Playmobil. And then, of course, you got Doc and Marty and Einstein being pulled over by the traffic filth and their white hats getting pulled over by the traffic filth. Because he's obviously doing 88 miles, and he's saying, "I don't care if you are a doctor, you were still doing 88 miles an hour." So, you're next. This is cool. That's completely scratch built. That's a courtroom, a Crown Court.
Look! There's Zoe in the dock there, overpaying for booze. Look at it,
selling illegal vodka.
This is it.
But wait till you see the suspect. Did you actually have you got a photograph of the actual suspect?
No, this is the one I've got here. This is what.
Well, he's actually one of the guys in the West Ham shirt in the Thistle do. So I think he must have got arrested at some point. Typical West Ham thug.
He'd had too much to drink, Your Honour.
Yeah.
This is super cool.
Oh yeah, look at
that. Yeah,
that's awesome. Great. Where'd you get them little dogs from?
They're all Playmobil dogs. They're all Playmobil puppies, Playmobil Dalmatians, and you'll notice that none of those 2 Dalmatians are the same, because even though they're all the same when they come out the packet, I've got a black paint pen and I've gone on there and I've changed their spots and given them different spots and given them different colour ears. so that they all look different. Because even though they all look different anyway, they just look like Dalmatians. I know that they're all the same, but now I know that all these are different. They are all different.
Well, the Cruella de Vil itself is a custom figure, right, Keith?
The Cruella de Vil's completely customed, yeah. And the car was a hot rod, but a Playmobil hot rod, single seater. I stripped that down, sprayed it. I put the front lights on it. Give it a respray. Put the rear canopy on it. Gave it a custom number plate, and yeah, and that's a customized Dalmatian there with his leg sort of, and you can see the wet, patch on the cardboard. And Cruella de Vil is obviously not very happy about it, as you can see by her boat race. She's not all that impressed.
Yeah. And look, this is so good.
And that's the bar. That's the bar. That's the bar for the Overlook Hotel. And again, that's completely hand built. That whole bar is completely hand built, scratch built.
It's even the lighting you've got for that. It makes it look dead haunted. The lighting's brilliant on it. So,
and he's got a bottle of Jack Daniels for the bar. You've got a bottle of Jack Daniels on the bar there with a glass, half full glass for Jack Torrance when he comes in. And that's going to go in my Overlook Hotel. That's going to go in the bar area of the hotel.
That's great.
So there's that. Let's just get back to the. Brian's here. Hi, Brian. Loads of people have turned up. Crown Court always on after Rainbow. Malibu pineapple. That was a drink back in the day. Yeah. Well, you can get one, Tony Z. When you got nipped, this'll do. You can get a Malibu and pineapple. So, sent you the day timetable post. I'll have a look at that right in a sec. Let's just see if I've missed anybody. Uppy's here. Bry's here. Let's have a look. Man, even with a time machine, the Ross is still going to have absolutely. Even with a time machine. Oh, brilliant. That Cruella is just amazing. Yeah, amazing.
It is.
She looks like Glenn Close. She does, yeah. That's brilliant. Midnight at the Overlook Hotel. Let's just see what.
Yeah, that really was. I've never seen that one before, ever. That really did make me laugh. That looked great.
Have you not, Si?
No, never seen that one.
I've always been an admirer, like I said, and I don't want to repeat myself, of Keith's work. So there's loads of pictures when he put it up. I thought one day we'll do this. And so
yeah.
I'm just going to. But this is what Zoe's just sent right here. She's right there. So this is this will do that. Des T, The Art of Leading. Tuesday, Craig David tribute. Thursday, stand-up comedy with PGM. And Friday, might be amazed by the magic of manga Fandanga. Saturday night is quiz night with Stu and Zoe plus karaoke. Absolutely brilliant. Brilliant.
Tell you what, it's lively pub, isn't it? Lively. What's going on?
The bottom line, Shabby, the bottom line of the poster.
Therapy available. Absolutely brilliant. Now, the future of Keith's. So I'm just going to get to this. This is the lag segment we've got right here. So this is what you've been talking to us a lot about behind the scenes and so forth. But I just want to share this with the people right here. What is this all about, Keith?
Well, that is my collection of kidnapped children. I'm not very good at it, so I've only got one so far. That's my granddaughter. That's my granddaughter, guys. By the way,
right.
And that shed, that's a size comparison. That was 2 years ago when the shed was installed in the garden, when it was built in the garden. And what I'm going to do, what I intended to do, is turn that into a Playmobil city. So it's going to be a city of Playmobil goodness. So it's going to have streets. That's the Overlook Hotel.
There's the Enterprise. Yeah.
And where would you see the Overlook Hotel and the USS Enterprise in the same picture? Really?
City, yeah. So that's all the stuff going in there.
It's a bit of a mess at the moment. Still, it's taken a lot of time to bolt it all out, paint it, and then I've got some tables up now, and I'm starting to slowly put it all together.
Yeah, there's the tables, and I love this backdrop. This backdrop's awesome.
Yeah, well, that was going to be where the airport was, but you can see how much of the shed the airport would take up. It will take up that whole side of the shed, leaving me just the middle and the right-hand section. and I want to leave gaps. I want to leave spaces so that you can get around it.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, because there's no point in having it so you can't reach bits of it. So it all needs to be accessible.
Yeah,
so now you're putting all the drywall up and everything up there.
That's not going to be the airport now. That's probably going to be my zoo, my farm, and the farmhouse, and probably a park with some funfair rides and stuff like that. So that area will all be greenery. That'll all be grass and greenery.
What's this is sticking up on the walls? Is it drywall, Keith? Is sticking up?
Yeah, the green stuff is what I put up originally. That was like just like a fabrics, almost like, yeah, I'm not quite sure what you would call it. Yeah. But then I decided to put more solid boards, so the white painted bits are all boards all around it. I'm going to get curtains. I didn't realise. I got the shed version with the windows down one side, and then didn't realise until I found out the difficult way that sunlight and toys do not like each other. So I'm gonna get some blinds, and it's going to be permanently dark in there, because otherwise the toys, when they're out, they're just going to get ruined by the sunlight.
It's going to look awesome. That's a big size shed. That really is.
I was just going to say, Shabs, I was just going to say that's a fair size bit of space to be putting a city in. So can't wait to see the finished results. And you've got everything going, Keith, for the zoo and for the fairground. You've got all stuff, and
I've got everything. And the thing is, I've actually got too much stuff. Because originally I had lifeboat, and I had a marina. I've got sailing ships and yachts. I've got people on sun lounges and people in bikinis and stuff like that. And I've got lifeguards, you know, sort of Baywatch type lifeguards, and a lifeboat station. And I'm just no way I'm going to be able to put a beach on there. There's no way I'm going to be able to put a beach on there. And so I've had to scrap that idea. So I've got all this stuff now.
By having all these things in, did you then always have it in plan that you was going to make a city? This has been a plan for a long time with you picking up this sort of thing along the lines. Did you think, that's going to go in my city when I do it? And
yeah.
I get that.
Absolutely, yeah. I said 2 years ago, I said this is what I want to do. Originally, I was going to put it in the loft, but I went up in the loft, and the loft just wouldn't. It's not the right size, and it's not the right layout. So I bought the shed and decided to do it in that instead. And I'm glad I didn't have it in the loft now, because in the last 2 years my mobility has gone where I can hardly walk. So if I'd have had to climb up in the loft, it would have been a non-starter. So
it's a shame me and Des don't live, because me and Des love this sort of stuff. We'd be right there with you. You know what I mean? You wouldn't have to pay us. Just pay us in sandwiches and cups of tea. Me and Des, you know. Keith, make sure you have support under those tables as them paste tables. Des T says drywall. Do you mean plasterboard? Yeah, but it's called. I suppose you're right.
I've put a spine. I've got a wooden spine down the middle of all of them, so they are dead straight, so they won't fold in the middle like they have a tendency to. And they will be stable, because even though Playmobil's not hellishly heavy, once everything's on there, it will be some weight. So, and I've also got some brackets where I may actually bolt them to the floor so they don't topple over. So
VTR says, can't wait to see the mountain in the corner. Geek Strong says, any chance of a Camp Crystal Lake campground with Jason? See, all these lads give you great ideas. That's the thing, inspiration. Des T says, what size is the shed? And don't say small.
It's 10 foot by 20 foot.
Massive.
Yeah.
Big temps as well as humidity. We're quite lucky with that though, G-Force, because the humidity, we don't get rarely any humidity in England at all. So the temp, I suppose it will get warm, but what will you do? Probably put fans in it. But I don't think it gets that warm, does it, to do that?
I mean, if it's in direct sunlight, they can overheat and they can melt. But
walk a bit.
But I'm saying I'm going to put blinds up in there, so it's going to be completely black. I've got to get some electrics in there. I've got to get some strip lights in the roof and some plug sockets put in. Otherwise, I was going to actually do this live from the shed.
Yeah,
but the fact that it's got
no. But we're definitely going to. No, you see, now we've seen all this and the response that we've had tonight.
I'm going to be filming the progress.
Mm-hmm.
taking more photos, and so I'm hoping, Shabby, you'll
Oh,
show.
100%. I know
you'll
Si
show the
will
film.
too. 100%.
'Cause I know a lot of people have said it should be filmed, and it, you know, we want to see the progress, and so come and join us. Come and join Shabby's channel, and come and join us in the build. The thing is that as well, that the community is very much a part of the city. So there's stuff in the city like the London buses that I've done, for example. I'll show you one.
Yeah, let's have a look. Let me make you pick a sec.
It's a standard Playmobil coach, but it's done out. I've stripped it and painted it red and put your destination board on it. But of course, just like London buses, I've put the adverts on it.
Look at that, Mr. Berry, Shabby, brilliant. This'll do.
Yeah.
And then you've got, so it's got all the adverts on it.
Martin and Connor, that's superb. That's so good. Maggie Van Dang with the top window side. Look at that.
Yeah.
Travels with Jason. Brilliant.
And the other one, this is the 88. That one was the 42. This is the 88, different route. And that's got your adverts on it as well.
So good. Brilliant. There's Stu.
I'll put them two together on the back so they can argue about football while the bus is driving about.
Argue about football. Oh. That's superb, mate. And the fact that you're including everybody into this, I think that's a lovely thing to do. It really is. It's really nice.
Because you guys have given me so much support. So it's like, and it is for the community. It's about all of us. You know, I also built a few bus stops, London bus stop style. So these are completely hand built, custom bus stops, and of course these have also got your adverts all over them. So I
know you do that. Yeah.
So I gave me permission to use some of his artwork. So
it's awesome.
I've got 4 of those.
Yeah, man.
That looks really good. Size artwork on that. Yeah, that looks awesome. That's so good. So good.
Inside as well. So yeah, and everyone's included. Super John, everyone.
Could you not just have a lower level city for the beach? Oh, that's a good idea. Are you going to level it all up on tables and stuff? Because I know you're thinking of a mountain and that kind of thing.
Nah, I don't know where the idea of a mountain come from. Oh, I think that was someone
for your Italian job. So
no.
Do a deep seascape under the tables. Yeah, those garden sheds can get really well bloody all right. Okay, especially if you have sort of insulation in them. Of course, some bastard defiled it with a Fuller's sticker. If you're advertising Martin's channel, should it not be a number 2 bus? Oh, brilliant.
That's cruel.
That's why you need a good look on a G-Force. Yeah, exactly right. Playmobil divorce might be next thing Cat Knight's working on. Yeah,
they are way too expensive.
And my mum says those buses and shelters are absolute mint. Yeah, they really
Again,
are.
my mum's creative. She makes all her own stuff, little molds, dresses, all sorts. So she'll be loving all this sort of stuff. Yeah.
Well, that's it. Anything else to say, Si, before we get off?
No, just again, amazing stuff. It's just amazing to look at.
That's another Playmobil custom. That's another Playmobil custom that I did. That's from that's a standard Playmobil truck, which I've sprayed. And the container is another toy that I found and just painted them all up and badged it up. So that's just a truck that's on that's going to be on the city, thumping around.
Absolutely brilliant. So, Keith's involved everyone in this project. What an absolute legend, says our DTM. Exactly right. Yeah. Tony Z said you should do a nudie speech. Well, and VTR says, I'm sure I've seen some of those names on a bus shelter before. Oh, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Keith, something on the way to you tomorrow, so you could. Oh, there's something on your way to you tomorrow, Keith. So you can do your dog unit.
Nice, excellent. Thank you, Jason.
Our friend Dean says, "Is there a Geek Strong gym in that city, or a movie theatre with popcorn buckets?" He's asking for a friend.
Hey, Geek Strong, did you pick up that new Galactus popcorn bucket? It's massive, isn't it? See the size of it? I think the eyes light up as well.
Well, who's the name on the front of the Stowbark truck? Des asks.
That is my eldest daughter, Amy.
Oh,
You do that, don't you? You put personalised plates on and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
brilliant, Keith. Man.
Yeah.
I have thoroughly enjoyed this special. It's been absolutely brilliant. Yeah, even PGM, brilliant. Kieran, brilliant. Oh, GeForce. How's GeForce done North Carolina heat without AC? He's got it today. Well done, GeForce.
Sat in the bath.
Oh, amazing. That's been awesome. Our friend Stu says, Keith, you've blown me away tonight. You're an absolute talent. We are lucky to have you in our community, cult, gang, whatever you want to call it.
Thanks, Stuart. Thanks,
Well,
Stuart. Back at you, mate. Back at you.
But we'll definitely have people on, and I'd like to carry these specials on where I get people on that do stuff. There's so many people in our community that show off the talent. I just think it's brilliant, and we will definitely, Keith, to have to do one on your Action Man, because your Action Man customs are just as good as your Playmobil ones. They really are. I mean, that's another.
There's not so many of them, but yeah, they are pretty.
They are just as good. Zoe T says she's bought a ticket to visit the city already. She's already got hers.
Brilliant. Zoe, you're more than welcome.
Zoe, good old Tony says, Keith, you are awesome. Great time. Yeah, Keith, you've been absolutely. I knew you would be. Yeah, I believe that the Galactic bucket is 80 quid for a popcorn bucket. Wow,
that's like double, isn't it? Really?
There you go. Been waiting forever to see. It's just worth it, isn't it? And I'm glad we've done this, Keith. That we've waited till you've made loads of them. We've done it as a big stream like this, because it's flown by. We've done 2 hours. I can't believe how fast it's gone. Stu, let's not go down the cult route. To be fair, I've had to AC just had it.
Once the city is built, and up and running, of course, I can have so much fun with it, because there'll be little bits that I can do to it. To have so I can have the Knight Rider car on there. I can have chips on there. I can have Ghostbusters and Scooby Doo investigating a job at the Overlook Hotel. It's
stories within stories,
all kinds of stories, and
you could even put like the fire tracks down, couldn't you, for the Back to the Future car, and the fires down the street, and do all sorts of stuff.
BTR says we'll have to visit Playmobil soon. That's a good word for it, Playmobil soon. Are you going to invite people around? Are people allowed to come and see it once you've finished it? Because I bet some of these lads would love to do it.
Of course. Yeah, of course. There's always beer. There's always beer in the fridge. Welcome anytime you like.
A new Keith setup would be awesome, says RG Force. You could do an underground setup under the tables. That's a good idea too. I suppose once you're starting it though, and once you've got the ideas will just come to you, won't they, Keith? I'm going to do that over there, this underneath here, and so much fun. He can play escape room when I lock him in. Absolutely brilliant. Well, anyway, there you go. That's the final one of the night. Thank you so much, and thanks, Si, for coming on and helping me outside. That's
no problem. I wasn't missing this one. No chance. I was missing this. No chance.
Well, I know. I really appreciate you both, and thank you so much for coming on and sharing your hobby and sharing your passion and everything with everybody. That's brilliant.
Thank you for very, very kindly offering to take this on and join me on the build. Because it'll be. This is just the beginning. There's much more.
Like I said,
much more fun ahead.
Like I said at the very, very start of this, and I'll be honest, I'll only say something I genuinely mean it. Your work was so special to look at. I mean, you heard me, like I said, repeat myself from the start of this stream. I was always amazed by it. I've always been amazed by Oppie stuff, by GeForce, by Sai, by everyone that makes stuff. You know what I mean? I've always been like, wow. And I just thought it has to be shown off. And you know what Shabby's channel's like. I don't care about YouTube and this and that. You're part of our community, which means everyone needs to see it. And that's the way I look at it. How much is the entry fee? Is there a gift shop? Is there a fridge?
The entry is free, and there may be a gift shop because I have loads of Playmobil left over.
Oh,
Oh, right, yeah.
Brilliant. All right, well, thank you all very much. ZSR this week will be on Matt's channel, and then there's 2 double bill top 5 next week because it's the end one before good old size back with Tub Thumpers the week after. So next week on top 5 is going to be awesome. I've got Luke Reynolds and Scott Whitehouse. Then on Wednesday, Steph and Georgie. So how about that? That's going to finish that. And I appreciate you all for helping top 5 do really well. It's done awesome. And
it's been a great Monday night watch. It's been really good. It's been a great Monday night show. I've enjoyed the top 5.
Are you ready for Tub Thumpers coming back, Si? 2 more weeks.
Not really. Are you ready for the next level of magic?
Yes, we're all ready for it.
Keith, I haven't been sat on my fat arse, while time's been gone. I've been to the Sorcerer Supreme reign. All my magic's a different level this time round.
I would love to see the Action Man customs. If they're half as good as your Playmobil ones, they would be. Oh, believe you me, Dario, you'll be impressed. You'll be impressed. Great streams, guys. Loved it. See you all Friday. Right, brilliant. We're going. Say goodnight, lads. See you.
Au revoir, Pee-wee.
Thanks for coming, everyone. See you soon.